Well, look at this, huh? Look at this. Here is a quarter. Now, let's see. What do you think of when you think of a quarter? How many of you think of Aldi? Anyone think of Aldi? How many of you think of Aldi? Yeah, I can tell who does the shopping here. All right, so guys, how many of you, let's ask the moms and dads and the adults, how many of you have an Aldi quarter in your car all the time? Oh yeah, there you go. How many of you have to scrounge for one? Yeah, all right, okay. How many of you pray that somebody will just give you a cart? All right. Did you know that one time there was Jesus, someone tried to trick him? Can you imagine someone trying to trick Jesus? Pretty hard to trick God who knows everything, right? So, but someone tried to trick him. And they were saying, hey, what about the government and the Romans? We shouldn't have to pay taxes to the government and the Romans. And then what about the things that are God's? And Jesus pulls out a coin and he says, okay, let's look at this coin. And he shows that to them and he says, one side is Caesar. And he said, we ought to give the things that belong to Caesar, and to give to God the things that belong to God. Give God what's God's. And, that's a good principle to live by. It tells us about taxation. How many of you kids ever think about taxation? You think about taxation? How many of you all think about taxation? How many of you know that Uncle Sam is very concerned about your taxation? All right. Boy, you better believe it. I'm glad most of you think about that much. But, everybody ought to think about this. We need to give unto God what is God's. To Caesar, things that are Caesar. There are other obligations that we have in life. Things you have to do. And how many of you kids would like to one day drive a car? You would? It's not cheap to drive that car. It's not free. You're going to have to go get a driver's license. It's going to cost you a lot of time to get it, and then you're going to have to get your driver's license, and it doesn't come free. You've got to pay a fee. That's part of giving unto Caesar what's Caesar's. But you ought to give unto God what's God's. And really, what is God's? Everything is God's. When you give your life to the Lord, everything is God's. My time is God's. The abilities God gives me. The opportunities that I have are God's. Any money that God gives me, it's all His. So whatever is God's, your heart, give God what is God's. And if you put God first in every area that's God's, God will take care of things that you can't do on your own. God is a God that gives grace. Now, for some people, they have a hard time figuring that out because it takes great faith to say, God, I'm going to give my life to you. God, I'm going to trust you with things I don't understand. God, I'm going to honor you with the money that you entrust to me. I'm going to honor you with everything. And for some, it's really hard to do because they just don't understand that if you give God what is God's, God will take care of everything else that you need in your life. So, hey, listen, when you think about that quarter, I want you to think, let's give God the very best and give God the very first. Would that be a good idea? That's a good idea. Who brought this quarter? All right. Do your mom and dad have an Aldi quarter in their vehicles? They do. Well, you know what I think? I think since they already have Aldi quarters, I think you ought to just keep this quarter for yourself. What do you think about that? That's pretty good. I like it. Okay, let me give this box away to somebody. Oh, let's see here. We need to give this to a young lady. There you go. Ma'am, you can take that. All right. Thank you, guys and gals. You can go back to your seats at this time.